All right, so looking at the inside after I've got the top off or the bottom off, you can see, I mean, it is not put together very well.
Oh, look at that beautiful work. Though it's a hot mess. None of this is attached to each
So the
other.
key's set in there for probably about 5 hours, and you can see a lot of the rust did come off.
So it's so nice to have a partner that when you probably paid too much money for a piece, but you could see the beauty, you could see the potential. I could have took it apart, but probably not done as well as Chris could do. So that true drawer cubby that kind of reminds you of a spool cabinet. Once I grabbed it and go and then started to look at it, I'm like, oh. So and then I'm like, honey, can you fix this? It's just not our standards that we would put in our booth. Yes, we do have a standard. Y'all, I don't care. I love that people put a little bit worse for wear pieces or project pieces in their booths because that's when I can come in and scoop them up. So, but when it comes to our booth, it seems kind of funny for me to say that, doesn't it? But when it comes to our booth, well, not everybody has the shop, the tools, the partner that can help you with it. So, there's that. They're just looking to flip it, just looking to make some profit. And I'm happy wherever I shop. And sometimes, yes, it's antique malls. So,
Okay, so this little sewing spool box, someone had made it. The drawers are old, and the top might be also, but they've added on new wood. So Yvonne wants me to go through and fix some of the issues, like right here. This is splitting apart. The nails aren't all the way in. They need to be countersunk. They never even sanded down the base on this, so it still has a burn mark from when they were running this heavy walnut through the table saw. I think there were some issues over on this side, or maybe it was around the back. Yeah, you can see it around the back side. All right, so looking at the inside after I've got the top off or the bottom off, you can see, I mean, it is not put together very well. They just kind of threw it together. It needs another support across here to hold up the back, and I'll probably put one across the bottom just like how there is in the front of it. That should give this plenty of support. I can reuse all the wood that they did, but it also needs to be tightened back together. And this thing, like I said before, just needs a really good sand job to clean it all up.
me pick the bad boy up. Yes, so now it's my turn. So Chris fixed it. It is secure. You can lift it without things falling apart. The spaces are together. I want to try to keep some of the character. I love the wood features, the doors, even though somebody has carved their name in them. I don't know. Did y'all notice that? Hi. Yeah. But I'm not going to try to fill that in because I don't want to take away the wood feature. Sometimes you just leave character. So what somebody did is took a couple old drawers and they made a cabinet for them. So, and then this one has, other than it doesn't have the nail or the lock, well, it does have the locking mechanism, but yeah, so I'm going to keep that character and I'm going to try to keep the character of the wood of the top, but the base, it's oak, it's heavy. As you saw, it wasn't like the best of shape. Chris got it back together. The drawers open and close easily now because it was missing that back brace. So now it's my turn. The wood, the wood is super thick on the bottom for what the top is personally, but remember I paid $85 for it. Grab and go. That's all I have to say. So I'm going to go ahead and paint just the body of it, and then see how it looks from there. If it looks terrible, then I can paint the top, but I think just restore and finishing on the top and the drawers will be enough. I think it'll just give it that unique character and charm that it needs, kind of have that cottage core farmhouse look going on, antique. So what I'm going to do, because I'm not painting the top, is I'm going to flip it over for right now, because I want to tape off this area so I don't accidentally get that, can't really see it, tape off that area so I don't actually get tape on the top of that. Now this is always hard when there's not a stopping point. So you just have to try your best to make a line. Which is what I'm going to try to do. Try to match it up with the sides. So for my paint color, I'm going to use the upside down container. So this is Miss Lillian's No Wax. So it's a kind of a chalk paint. Since I'm just doing the body and I want to do some age, I want something that I can distress. And then also something that I can use a heat gun to dry to speed up the process, especially since I'm painting it white, and you know that white always wants multiple coats. And as I said, I'm not fixing all the imperfections because that takes away the character of making this piece look old. I'm trying to match it to the top and the drawer, so if I make the base of the body look too new, then you'll know. Now that I have that first coat dry, I can go in with the second coat. And it doesn't seem to be yellowing yet, or not at all. I'm lucky enough. But you know, white is one of those multi-coats, more than you want to have to paint colors. But then It's a huge neutral and people like it, so. After 4 coats of paint, it is now dry and ready to be sanded. So I'm just going to take the orbital sander and then just run it along wherever it distresses. I'm going to put 220 sandpaper. I don't want to take it all the way back down to the wood, but I'm already liking the white with the wood. Now I'm not quite ready to remove my tape yet. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that all my sanding dust is off because I need to seal in this type of paint. So I'm just going to use a clear coat and a matte finish, not to make it shiny, just to seal this paint in. I'm going to freshen up that top, get rid of some of those scratches just with some dark walnut, some Restore and Finish by Howard's. Miracle stuff for this poor dry wood. Just brings it back to life. I think my Lazy Susan has its max and weight with this one. You just wipe on and then you wipe off the excess. And we'll do the same to the drawers. So I picked up somebody's beautiful hand embroidery. I don't know what this is actually called. I'm sure there's a fancy name for it at an auction. Ah, look at that beautiful work. Though it's a hot mess. None of this is attached to each other, but this is how it was sold. The frame to me is more like Victorian cottage core. It's a little too fancy for this. There is a piece of glass. So as we break this down, and then there's cardboard on the back of this that has been pinned in. And safety pinned on and pinned in. And anyway, so I want to save this. These are good sellers. So I'm going to try to hand wash it. I've never washed one of these before. So I don't want to like make this, I'm afraid to put it in the washing machine and have it all like all the stitching come loose. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know. I've never had to wash one before, but it definitely needs to be washed. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to hand wash it and try my best to get some of that dirt off, especially since it's going into the original work itself. And I just by chance picked up a round frame at Goodwill that is a perfect match. I just have a mild detergent, like the children's death is that what you call it? So I'm just going for it. because I know it's going to take a while for it to dry. Ooh, I might have to do a couple. I might have to do a couple of them. Look at that water turn. Oh, found another pin. Maybe it would have been okay in the washing machine, but sometimes the washing machine can be so harsh, you know, when it does the spit outs and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I do have a delicate cycle, but take the staples out, get the back of the frame cleaned off. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead, give this a little bit of sanding. Dawn yourself some hot water just to get it cleaned up. I want to make sure that my paint will stick to this. So I'm going to go ahead and do a couple coats of shellac. So I'm going for that mid-century mod vibe. You're going to be using Bohemian Gold. There you go. By Melange. It is a start to finish paint. So primer, paint, coat all in one. But because of this being red and a little bit glossy, I chose to sand it and do the shellac to make sure that it sticks. Nothing wrong with doing a little extra prep just to make sure that your paint is going to stick. Okay, now we got our second coat. With this type of paint, I just let it dry. I don't want it to bubble by trying to add a heat gun and rush the process with the top coat. Oh. So it took 4 coats of paint to cover this. Now I want to stick a little bit of the aging wax in the crevices just so it doesn't look like it's just a freshly painted, you know, give it a little bit of age. This has a top coat in it, so it's not going to really change the paint color as I want it to stick into the little details. Sometimes that top coat won't let that in, but we'll see how I do. Wax on, wax off. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get the glass clean. So I think this cleaned up pretty good. I mean, for not putting it in a washing machine. And then it has a 1978 date on it, so that's cool. So I'm going to use that same Becker board since that was the right fit for this frame. Then I just have some of this card paper sack tape. I think I'm going to write the 1978 date on the outside when I do a back on this. My whole goal is to keep it even, get the black back to lay down flat. Okay, let's see what we look like. Just gonna tape it on, and then I'll put some cardboard or some brown paper backing on it. I'm gonna use some double stick tape around the edges. I'm at the end of my roll for my brown paper backing. So I taped down the sides because it was going to be so rolly. And I'm like, I'm just going to do it this way. Sometimes you got to do what you have to do to get something to work. I'll just cut off. There. And I still have not found that wonderful tool that Hobby Lobby has, so I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife around the edges and cut this paper off. And I just run some sandpaper, just smooth down any of those edges from being cut. And then since this isn't very heavy, we'll just use one of the hammer in. In here.
There's old keys in this, which some are skeleton. Then there's more skeleton, more skeleton. Just regular keys. Wait. And
oh my lord!
Some kind of epoxy they fill in.
Oh, so it's a keep memorial. We're gonna call it.
So I'm trying to get this massive amount of rust off these skeleton keys that we just got. So what I'm doing is, this has simple green in it, which is just a degreaser, and I've been using this wash basin, shoots out high screen, and I've just been cleaning off the loose part of the rust on these. And then I will take a wire brush also and clean them off a little bit. But for the most part, because these are so heavily coated, I'm going to put them in this rust remover. And I've already got a bunch of keys sitting in there. In a few hours, I'll pull them out. We'll see how they look. This stuff is kind of old, so it might not work the greatest, but normally it will eat off most of the rust and just leave the raw metal behind. Then after they come out, now these were fairly easy to clean. They just had a little bit of material on them, a little bit of rust, so I just scraped them off. Then I'll dip them in here. This is just WD-40. It's a rust inhibitor. WD-40 is used to clean a bunch of products and to keep them rust free. So I'll dip them in here, then I'll just wipe them off with a rag, and that's what we come up with. That's pretty much what I'm looking for. You're not going to get everything off, but these keys, you know, they're 150 years old, some of them, so they're going to look a little tarnished. All right, so the keys set in there for probably about 5 hours, and you can see a lot of the rust did come off. But unfortunately, they're gonna have to be wire brushed, which I also found these were the worst ones at the bottom that were very corroded. And then these ones I thought were not as bad, but still, looking at them, you know, I don't think anybody wants to have a key that still has a surface rust. So now I'm painstakingly going through and using a wire wheel to clean them off. And that's going to be the difference in a key that somebody wants and somebody doesn't. So I just take them out on the wire wheel, and it only takes 20 seconds to do each key. But as you can see, there's probably 500 keys that I got to do. So it's going to be a little while.
So thank you so much for watching today's video. Yes, I tag team with Chris. We had some auction items, those keys. Did you think those keys were going to be able to be saved? We really, when he bought them at auction, he thought like epoxy had fallen out. No, they were just one big rust bucket of, yeah, but he loves to do that. It's the excitement of saving something from the dump. Yes, it was a big pile of keys, and there's cool, very cool keys in there. So, and then, you know, my bad, $85 for that 2-drawer was probably too much in the condition. I really thought, oh my gosh, I've got a spool cabinet for $85. So I grabbed and I went, and then I got it home, and I'm like, oh, wow, well, it's kind of falling apart. But, you know, I think it's really pretty with the white and the wood. The white hides like that the wood, it was so different than the rest of the box. And then, yeah, I mean, I could have filled in the high and the whatever they tried to write on the drawer, but it's character. If we take away all the character and try to make everything be a new item, it's sad. That's the thing that I love about Thrifted, is the perfectly imperfect, the story that it tells. So if we're constantly trying to fix all the boo-boos in the world, there's no story to tell. You know, I always told my kids, you know, when they fall and they get a bruise or they scrape their knee, and I'm like, well, now you got a story to tell. You know, if you don't have any stories to tell, then that's kind of sad. You know, I don't want people to get hurt, but you know, you give yourself a story. So anyway, I absolutely love doing that. And then saving that, what is that called? It's called something, and I can never remember. The needlepoint embroidery, it was absolutely beautiful. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and as always, if you're part of our YouTube family, thank you so much. And if you're new and you're checking out this channel for the first time and you liked what you saw, please smash that subscription button along with the notification bell so you know we upload a new video, and we will see you next time, guys, and you can see what we're up to. Bye.